Good morning, student. Now, today we are going to learn the first chapter of your civics, that is power sharing. So, let us go through the overview of this chapter. So, here, what we know democracy, it's a form of government generally chosen by the peoples. So, we have studied it in the last year. Now, we already know that this power should not rest with one organ only. Suppose in India the entire power is with the central government, then it will be a situation of problem. Okay, they can misuse the power or they can do whatever they want. So the question arises that whether this power should be distributed or not, power sharing should be done or not. So here we will try to understand by the case study of Belgium and Sri Lanka. And in India we already know that we have been distributing power in form of three institutions, like they are sharing these powers: legislature, the one who make the law; executives, who implement; and the judiciary, who keeps checks whether everything is going according to the situations or not. They actually check the power upon each other. So here let us go through the case study of Belgium and Sri Lanka. Now Belgium is a small country in Europe, smaller in the area of the state of Haryana. It has border with the France, Netherlands, Germany and Luxembourg. It has population of a little over 1 crore, about half the population of Haryana. So this Belgium is almost smaller than Haryana and the population is lesser than Haryana, almost half, just 1 crore. And it is having borders with the France, Netherlands, Germany and Luxembourg. Now, the ethnic composition of this small country is very complex. Ethnic means the culture of this Belgium, this place is very complex in nature, means it is having lot of diversity. There are different types of people share different culture, different languages. So there is a vast diversity here. Let's read further. The composition of this small country is very complex. Of the country's total population, 59% lives in the Flemish region and speaks Dutch language. Another 40% people lives in Wallonia region and speak French. Remaining 1%, remaining 1% of the Belgian people speak German. In the capital city Brussels, 80% people speak French, while 20% of the Dutch are speaking. Okay. Now here, what are they trying to say? That 59% who lives in the Flemish region, which is Flemish region and Wallonia region. This yellow portion here, this one is the Flemish region, okay, and this is the Wallonia region. Now here, this Flemish region speak Dutch and the Wallonia region people speak French. Now the remaining one part, they speak German language. So in the capital city Brussels, in the capital means this Brussels is the capital of Belgium. So what is the situation over there? So here we can see that 80%, we are talking about Brussels, which is capital. 80% of people speak French. So 80% people over there are speaking French. So this French was, if you think about the entire Belgium, so French people are in minority if you talk about entire Belgium. Now here what is the situation in Brussels? They are in majority because 80% people speak French and the rest 20% are Dutch speaking. So here the Dutches are in minority who are already in majority if we think about entire Belgium. Okay, because they comprise of 59% region who lives in the Flemish region. Okay, so opposite situation is there. The minority French speaking community was relatively rich and powerful. This was resented by the Dutch speaking community who got the benefit of economic development and education much later. So what is the problem here? These French people are generally rich and as they got education and all these facilities much earlier, so they were well developed. And in the case of Dutches, they got all this opportunity later, so they were not that much developed. So this was a concern between them. Now this led to the tensions between the Dutch speaking and the French speaking communities during 1950s and 1960s. So in this era, 1915-1960, the French speaking community and Dutch speaking community were against each other. The tension was creating between these two communities. Now let's read further. The tension between the two communities were more acute in Brussels. Brussels is the capital of Belgium. Brussels presented a special problem. The Dutch speaking people constitute a majority in the country but a minority in the capital. So here the what was the major problem over there? The Dutch speaking people, they were in the majority in the country, but if you talk about this Brussels, the capital, they were there in minority. Now, let us compare this to the situation of another country. Sri Lanka is an island nation. We already know that the Sri Lanka lies below India and it is an island region, just a few kilometers off the southern coast of Tamil Nadu. Okay, now it has about 2 crore people, about the same in as in Haryana. So almost the population is just like of Haryana. Same population number is there. Like other nation in the South Asia region, Sri Lanka has a diverse population. Now same is the case here is with Sri Lanka. In Sri Lanka also diversity is there. The major social problem are Sinhala speakers. So the natives of the Sri Lanka, their Sinhala speakers means they speak Sinhali language. Okay, so they comprise of 74%. And after that there are Tamil speakers who are 18%. Among Tamils, there are two subgroups. So these Tamil speakers are also divided into two groups. The Tamil natives of the country. So these some of the Tamil people are the native of the country which they belong. They are not coming from somewhere else. So they are the natives of this country. They were residing well before. Okay, and then the other, these are called as Sri Lankan Tamils. These were 13%. The rest, whose forefather came from India as a plantation worker during colonial period, are called as Indian Tamils. Now when Britishers were ruling India, so what they did, they brought many peoples from India because of the plant. They wanted to do plantation in Sri Lanka, so they migrated some people from India to Sri Lanka so that they can do the plantation over there. So this is how these Indians went to the Sri Lanka and they were working over there. When the British left, so these people were still there. Okay, still working in some places. Even in the cricket team of Sri Lanka, you will find players like Suraj Randir. So the name sounds like Indian. So these are the peoples who are from India. As you can see from the map, the Sri Lankan Tamils are concentrated in the north and east of the country. Most of the Sinhala speakers are Buddhist. Okay, so mostly the Sri Lankan Tamils are concentrated to the north side and the east side of the country. So just look at the map. In the northern and the eastern sides, so these are very less. Okay, this orange shaded region and brown shaded region, so they are in very less quantity. Now Sri Lankan Tamils are concentrated in the northeast of the country. Most of the Sinhala people are Buddhists. Now, the Sinhala people, speaking peoples, they worship Buddhism. Okay, so they are Buddhists. While most of the Tamils and Hindus were Muslims. Now, these Tamils are mostly are Hindus and Muslims. So you can see here there are 3 to 4 different religions practiced in Sri Lanka. Like Buddhism is there, Tamil is there, Hindu is there. Okay, and Muslim is there. There are about 7% Christian also. So how many are there? Like you can see that Buddhist is worshipped. Now after that Hinduism is there, Muslim people are there, and Christians are also there. So there is a huge diversity in Sri Lanka. So who are both Tamil and Sinhala. Now the Christian people are in Christian community. You will find both the people are there. Like Sinhala people are also there and Tamil people are also there. Just imagine what could happen in situation like this in Belgium. Now in Belgium, what is the condition? Dutch community could take the advantage of its numeric majority and force its will on the French and German speaking population. So as we know already that these Dutch people are in majority in Belgium. So if they want to take advantage, they can suppress the French and German speaking, and they can just exercise their power because they are in majority. Because if suppose there is a class of yours, and most in your class there is a game period, and there are student around 50 in your class. Now 40 student wants to play football, and only 10 student wants to play cricket. So who will be listened? Like definitely the 40 students, they want to play football, so we'll be listening to them. So because they are in majority, if this is the case, it can lead to complications. This would push the conflict among the communities further. So definitely these things will push the communities into problems, and conflict will start among them, because if one will come to power, then definitely they will try to suppress the other peoples. Who are other peoples? The Tamilians. Now this could lead to a very messy partition of the country. Both the sides would claim control over Brussels. Now here they are saying that this could lead to the partition of the country. Their country can be divided into small parts. Now both the side will be asking for control over the Brussels, definitely, because in because these Dutch people are majority in Belgium, and if you think about this capital Brussels, so they will definitely try to take control over it. In Sri Lanka, the Sinhala community enjoyed an even bigger majority, and who could impose its will on the entire country. As I said, the Sinhala community is a bigger majority, and they can impose its will. Whatever they want to do, they can easily do it by just forcing the other communities. Now let us look at what happened in these countries. Now we are going to discuss what happened in these countries. So first we'll go through majoritism in Sri Lanka. Now Sri Lanka emerged as an independent country in 1948. So when did Sri Lanka emerge as an independent country? In year 1948. The leaders of the Sinhala community sought to secure dominance over the government by the virtue of their majority. As a result, the democratically elected government adopted a series of majoritarian measures to establish Sinhala supremacy. Now the Sinhala community, who were in majority, now they were trying to dominate over the government so that they can take control over the others. So as a result of the elected government, they just were making some measures to establish this Sinhala's supremacy over the other. In just they just wanted to take the command. In 1956, an act was passed to recognize Sinhala as the official language. Now here, thus disregarding Tamil. So what is this, here happening is in 1956 what they did, an act was passed by the Sinhalas. So this was to uh, make sure that the Sinhala will become an official language of the Sri Lanka, and they were not paying any type of attention toward the Tamil language. Means they were just neglecting the Tamilians. The government followed preferential policies that favored Sinhala applicant for university position and government jobs. Now the policies of the government was also like that. So they were supporting the Sinhalas in the government jobs. So most of the Sinhalas were taking up the government jobs, and the university position were also been taken by them. A new constitution stipulated that states shall protect or and foster Buddhism. And after that, what happened? A constitution stipulated. There was some amendment in the constitution, and what it said, that they will have to protect the Buddhism and also try to foster the growth of it. This is a clear-cut implication, just intention, just to suppress the others by the Sinhala, because they were thinking that they were in majority, so they can easily control everything in the Sri Lanka. They can do whatever they want, so they were suppressing the Tamilians. they were just taking down everything like their language, and they were trying to bring down the culture also by just fostering Buddhism. They were trying to bring the other religions down. All these government measures coming one after the other gradually increased the feeling of alienation among the Sri Lankan Tamils. Now the Tamil Sri Lankans started feeling like that they don't belong here, like they were being completely neglected by this government, because every decision was in the favor of the Sinhalas. They felt that none of the major political parties led by the Buddhist Sinhalas leader was sensitive to their language and culture. Okay, now what these people are thinking? They're thinking that this leaders of the Sinhala, Buddhist Sinhala leaders, they're not thinking about their language or culture. They are just don't care about it. So this was their mentality. Now you can see that the mentality is changing. Now this can lead to conflicts among them. Now the government policies denied them equal political rights. Now government policies were not giving them any kind of equal political right, discriminated against them in getting jobs. As we discussed earlier also, there was discrimination that Sinhala will be given job, Tamil will not get the jobs and other opportunities, and ignored their intentions. As a result, the relations between the Sinhala and the Tamil communities strained over time. So now there is a tight situation between Sinhala and Tamilian because they both were just against each other. So this is creating a great tension among them both. Okay, so it was just like conflict will happen between them because both turned against each other. Now the Sri Lankan Tamil launched partisan struggle. Now Tamilians, these people are not going to sit quiet. They are going to do something. So what are they going to do? So they launched parties. So they made parties and struggles started in the Sri Lanka for the recognition of Tamil as an official language. Now what they want? They wanted that Tamil language should be the official language for regional autonomy and equality of opportunity in education and jobs, and they are asking for equal treatment in when it comes to job and education. But the demand for more autonomy means freedom to province populated by the Tamilians were repeatedly denied. Now these people are continuously denying them that it cannot be done. So this was creating more tension. By 1980s, several political organizations were formed demanding an independent Tamil state. Now there's set a political organization. Now this political organization was asking for a separate Tamil state in northern and eastern part of the Sri Lanka, because they were feeling that these people are not paying any kind of attention towards our culture, and they are going to ruin it. So it is better to get separate from them and make a separate state there in Sri Lanka. So they were asking for it. The distance between the two communities turned into widespread conflict. Now this after this, when they were asking, they denied, and again they were asking, so struggles were also going on. So what happened? This created conflicts started among them, and this also led to the start of a civil war, and they started fighting with each other. Many peoples were wounded and killed also. As a result, thousands of people, both communities were have been killed. Many families were forced to leave the country as refugees, and many more lost their livelihoods. Now, see, when this fight happened, people started fighting against each other in this civil war. So, what happened? The people who are having some kind of business, they will have to leave. The people who are earning or doing work somewhere, they will have to leave, and also the families will have to leave and go to some other places, and they will be staying there as refugee. They will have to take shelter under some other places. So this is what happening over there, because nobody wants to die, so it is better to run from such kind of place. So you have read in chapter 1 of economics textbook about Sri Lanka's excellent record of economic development, education and health. So in this earlier books you already read the Sri Lanka's education status and health status as per the data is very strong, but the civil war has caused a terrible setback to this social culture and economic life of the country. So setback means they were pushed back, like they were doing really well, after that they were set back to their all this economically they were set back. So all these activities were being shifted backwards. All these things ended in 2009. So when these things ended in year 2009. Now let us learn about the accommodation in Belgium. Now we learn about accommodation in Belgium. Here, the Belgian leaders took a different path. They recognized the existence of the regional differences and cultural diversity. Now here, we already understand about the case of Sri Lanka. Now in Belgium, they have taken a different kind of step. Firstly, they understood that in Belgium there are many different diversities are there, so many culture people, and they were of different language dialects they were been speaking all around. So they acknowledged it that this is the problem and we should try to solve it. Between 70s 1970s and 1993, they amended their constitution four times. So in between this period, this can come in one mark question. In 1970, 1993, how many times the constitution were been amended? So answer is four times. So as to work out as an arrangement, so arrangement that would enable everyone to live together within the same country. So what here they are trying to do, they are just trying to make some arrangement so that each and every diverse people they can stay in Belgium. Now the arrangement they worked out is different from any other country and is very innovative. Now the changes which they have made is very innovative, something new which was implemented by them. Here are some of the elements of the Belgium models. So we'll be learning about these elements now, like what was the changes they have made. The first in the constitution. Constitution prescribed that the number of Dutch and French speaking ministers shall be equal in the central government. So here the Dutch speaking and French speaking ministers will be equal in the government. So if the number will be equal, it is just like the condition nobody can take advantage of the majority situation, because as we know that the Dutches are in majority in Belgium, so they can take advantage. But here in central government both will be having equal numbers, so it will be a situation of taking the support of the majority of members from each linguistic group. Thus no single community can make decisions unilaterally. So here, if this is the condition that everybody is equal, then you'll have to take the majority decisions, and it will not be a unilateral decision taken by one single person for everyone. The second change will be many powers of the central government have been given to the state government of the two regions of the country. The state government are not subordinate to the central government. So here the state government will not be under the central government, and the power has been given to the state government by the central government. So it is just like the situation that at state level also they are having powers. So here we can see the power distribution is happening between central to from the central to the state governments. So because there are already two reasons, so this can lead to further solution for this problem of diversity. Now the Brussels has a separate government. Now we'll talk about the capital of Belgium, that is Brussels. So Brussels has a separate government in which both the communities have equal representation. So in Brussels, who were in majority? The French were in majority over there. So they could have taken advantage there in Brussels. So the French speaking people accepted equal representation. See, now people also started accepting that we are ready for this kind of equal representation, because this Dutch people in Belgium has just agreed for it. So here they are getting agreed for this equal representation. So the French speaking people accepted equal representation in Brussels because the Dutch speaking community has accepted equal representation in the central government. See here the question is that Dutch people can take advantage here because they are in majority, but they are just accommodating the situation. They also realize that this is a diversity problem, and if you everybody wants to live inside Belgium happily, then they will have to accept each other. You will have to just give importance to the other communities and other cultures. The last one is, apart from the central and the state government, there is a third kind of government. Now here there is a third kind of government. This is called as the community government. Now this government is elected by the people to one language community, Dutch, French and German speaking, no matter where they live. Now wherever these people are living, that doesn't matter whether they are Dutch, French or German speaking, but these power has been given to this kind of community government is about the sensitive issues like power regarding cultural, education and language related issue. So in suppose this is a language problem is there, so this Dutch people could have taken advantage that they could have said that everybody will have to speak in Dutch because we are in majority, and your education policy will according to will be according to like that everybody will be taking learning in a Dutch language. But it is not the condition here. The third kind of government, this community government, is elected by the people according to one language community. So one language community will be electing this, and they'll be taking decisions regarding this cultural, educational and language related issues. So no problem will be there in the culture. Nobody can suppress the culture of each other. Now here you might feel that the Belgium model is very complicated. Yes, Belgium model is very complicated because of the number of population was so varied. We agree on it. Okay, it indeed is very complicated even for people living in Belgium. But this arrangement have worked well so far. They help to avoid civic strife between the two major communities and the possible division of the country on linguistic lines. Where many countries of Europe came together to form the European Union, Brussels was chosen as its headquarters. Now here we have seen that how this peoples of Belgium accommodated the situation of this diversity. So these arrangements have worked well till now. So there is no conflict among them. But in the previous example of Sri Lanka, we have seen that they were not, the Sinhalas people were not ready to share the power with the Tamilians. So there was conflict. And here there is no conflict. Why? Because they are just compromising with each other. They are ready to share equal representation. So this is a kind of thing where we can say peoples are also getting agreed to the situation of diversity. So by power sharing, the problem has been handled. Now, after this, when this European Union was formed, it was simply formed so that easily people can move from one place to the other place. And for this union, the Brussels was chosen as this headquarter. When they were deciding where to make this headquarter, so they selected Brussels as its place. So here, what do we learn from these two stories of Belgium and Sri Lanka? Both are democracies, yet they deal with the question of power sharing differently. In Belgium, the leaders have realized that the unity of the country is possible only by respecting the feelings and interests of the different community. Definitely true. By respecting the feeling and interests of the different community, we can avoid conflicts and fights. It could have saved the life of many people. Such a realization resulted in mutually accepted arrangement of sharing power. We have seen this in examples of Belgium. They got agreed with each other. Sri Lanka shows a contrasting example. It shows that if the majority community wants to force its dominance over other and refuses to share power, it can undermine the unity of the country. In the Sri Lankan example, we have seen they were not ready to share the power, so it led to killings of many peoples. Okay, so it is good to share power. Now, in the next video, we are going to look at why power sharing is desirable. So, till then, for this particular video, this much part you will have to go through again and again. So, we'll be meeting in the next video. Thank you.